Hello, hello. Hi.
Hi, Shama. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
So far, so good. Thank you so much for jumping on a quick call with me. Thank you.
And I'm a big believer. And if I could do it right now, man, let's get it over and done with. Because
Okay,
my time is all over the place. I don't have typical people time.
okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's really fair. So I won't hold you. But again, like I was saying in my message to you, is that I am a third-year PhD student.
Get it,
And so
girl.
I am, thank you. So I'm trying to get through all of this, but the methodology I want to use is sister circles.
Okay.
And Lisa Power, who was a performer professor, previous professor for you, mentioned you. And I was like, please, please make the introduction so I can ask her all about it. So that's what I want to know. Tell me how you use Sister Circle. Tell me, I seen your YouTube, your snippet on, I think Facebook, I think I seen it on.
Yeah.
So tell me all about it. How does it work? How did you come to it? All of that.
Okay. So this actually has been in the making for years, and I just did not know how to call it, what it looked like, or how to market myself. For years, I'm telling you, from doing parties at the club, trying to figure out how, because I'm a people's person and I naturally help people. And over the years, it was to the point where I was helping like my siblings. I helped all my siblings either open up their businesses, grow their businesses, or just teach them more about how to better their business so they're not living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
And I can proudly say that any of them can go anywhere in the world and they will have an income. That's how they
Let's
can do that.
go.
They have that skill. Um, but outside of that, in my career as a electronics engineering tech, so I did that. But then I moved into like SAP
Oh,
coordination,
okay.
pretty much, right?
Okay.
And in a coordination job, you're the middleman. And being that I had engineering background, it allowed me to do my job a lot better than anybody else who was in my job at the time because
Mm,
I understood the people where they came from and why they thought the way that they thought. And it allowed me to create trainings and stuff to be able to, get them to do the job properly. And it was us changing the whole organization. So a lot of training was required. Anyway, all of this was I feel like me getting training on how to train people, how to teach people, how to have a mindset that you continuously making progress in life.
hmm
And then I wanted to combine that with my life. The way that I describe it, like I say, Sha Ma Banks is a lifestyle. It's living your retirement life now,
mm,
meaning how to be happy today, with everything that we got going on, what are habits, what are things that we can do today to make sure that we wake up and we working on being happy all day,
okay.
every day. Okay. So you combine that with helping people, with training, with business, with career, all of this background. And I'm sitting with a friend of mine who came to the first sister circle, and I'm telling her I'm in a need right now to get people in my store. I have a new store. I'm new to Lubbock, Texas, and I have a need to get people in my store. I also have a need to create a following for the Sha Ma Banks lifestyle so that when I close this store down, that they're going to follow me wherever I go.
Okay.
And I was telling her, we was coming up with all these different ideas. And then one of them, she came up with the name of Sister Circle. And I was like, oh, that sounds exactly what I'm talking about. And to me, I don't do just one thing, like that one thing has to feed many different things.
hmm
So it's me getting people in my store so that, it's free advertisement into my store. It's advertising who I am and what I represent. It's allowing me to help people and not feel burdened by it,
hmm
because it's just naturally what I'm doing anyway, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
why not put a name to it? And on top of that, I finally have a location that's mine. I went from going to other people locations, trying to use other people, and man, it sucks when you have to depend on
Yeah,
people, you know? I mean,
that's
it's
true.
nice when they come through.
When they come through.
Yeah, but to I like to know that something is gonna get done for real.
Yeah,
And I like to know that I have the space that they can do it that I can do it at my space, that I can play whatever music I want, that I can,
right.
I can say whatever I want. And if you don't like it, there's a door. It's not for everybody. And part of the whole sister circle is being our first encounter was teaching about how to be true to yourself. The
Mm-hmm.
only way to be successful is being real about who you are.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that was the first one. Um, I hope that answers some of your questions.
It does. It really resonates. So on the researcher side, Sister Circle, and I'm using the research language and concepts of Dr. Joan Collier. I got a chance to speak with her too. She's amazing. But
Mhm.
anyways, the methodology is all about a way for Black women, any part of the diaspora, to come together to be able to uplift, empower, to
Yeah.
encourage. And for me, it's in the spaces of education, right? Because that's the space that I'm living in right now.
Hmm.
But that is the method by which she used to do her research. So, for instance, I'm researching why Black women over 50 go back to school because that's my lived experience. And
Yeah.
so I'm doing that, but I want to know what other Black women in that same experience felt when they were going through this process. Did they encounter some of the challenges I'm coming through? What made them want to do it? School is hard. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm already working full time. We have families, we have partners, all these things. So why are we doing that? The way in which she did that for her research was to call women together that says, if you have this lived experience, come and talk with me so I can understand what you went through. But it's always around food. It's around gathering and being together. And what she found, which I'm hoping to find too, is that when we gather in spaces like that, just like you said, we're free to be ourselves. We can play whatever music we want. We can eat the way that we eat. We can talk the way that we talk. We don't have to switch. We don't have to do any of that because we are genuinely being who we are in community with other Black women.
Yeah. So mine is a little bit different because I'm mixed.
Okay.
Not only am I mixed, but I'm from Israel.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm Jewish, I'm black, I'm vegetarian, and I'm in big ass Texas, and it don't matter where I'm at, it really
No, it
doesn't
won't
matter.
matter. It
Okay.
won't matter.
When I was in Oregon, it was like I'm one of those people that can fit in any crowd, yet I'm a little bit of everything.
That's good.
So, for example, I went to what is it, Dukes and Boots party out here. They're doing
Yeah.
all the stepping things.
Yeah.
When I tell you I stand out like a sore thumb, I stand out. But I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna try to keep it clean, but I'm typically not that clean. But I'm like, listen, my mission tonight is to learn these stepping
Yeah.
dances, right? But I also like a whole range of music,
Yeah.
have a whole range of friends, and some things I feel comfortable in Black groups. Some things I don't feel comfortable in Black groups. Some
Really?
I feel comfortable in white groups. Some things
Okay.
I feel comfortable in the Jewish groups. Sometimes I don't feel comfortable in none of those groups. And I realized with me, I'm Elishama. I'm Sha Ma Banks. And I know what I like, and it doesn't always come in a color,
Yeah.
I
That's
walk down,
good.
and it doesn't always come in a color. It doesn't always come in an age, it doesn't always come from a location.
Fair.
And coming from Israel, I came from a Black community in Israel, but ask me if I feel comfortable in that Black community.
Wow. Shama.
Like,
Wow.
no, okay, let me rephrase this because I don't this is not intended to insult anybody. I
Of
feel
course.
comfortable. I can feel comfortable anywhere. I'm a flexible person, you
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
but the more I recognize who I am, the more I get in tune with myself and my spirituality and
Yeah.
the gifts that I'm given. I can't let anybody in my circle, no matter where they come from, no matter
Hmm.
what language they speak, what history we may or may not have. So now I'm like, it's a certain type of woman that I'm looking for,
Yeah.
and listen, it was a proud moment that the first one, it was 4 Black women.
Yeah, I love that.
It was very proud. It was also a surprise to me
Why?
because I, again, sometimes I fit very well in Black communities and sometimes I don't,
Right.
especially because I'm not from here. Now I got my
Hmm.
close Black friends, but I also realize like my gift is that it has been very sharpened since since moving to Lubbock and since becoming more and more spiritual and really recognizing who I am. So now I can um it's like I'm automatically drawn to the right people,
That's
you know?
cool.
So
Yeah.
I don't have as much problems with these groups anymore. One second, hold on. Hold on. Yeah.
That's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can understand the peace that comes with being around a certain type of person. And it doesn't have to be a Black experience or white experience. It doesn't have to be any of that
Yeah.
because I too share some peace in multiple different scenarios and spaces in my life. It just so happens that the research I'm doing is about a Black woman's experience. But
Yeah.
I hear you. And for me, it's the vibe more so
Exactly.
of the individual that I'm kicking it with, right? Because like
Yeah.
sometimes I'm good, sometimes I'm like, I think I'll head out. I think I'll go. But in this
Yeah, that's what
situation,
I'm saying.
yeah,
It could be whatever group. If I'm not feeling it, I promise myself I'm not standing no more
yeah,
uncomfortable situations. Cause and that's another thing that made me do these circles is that I got tired of joining other people's circles that are not, let me put it like this. When you feel like you're chasing, trying to get what
yeah,
you want, and then somebody feel like they doing you a favor,
yeah,
and then when you realize you a boss, you could make your
yeah,
own circle, and that you want what you want. And like when you recognize what you do for other people, then it's only a matter of time before it actually happens. Because if you have a gift, it wasn't by mistake. God gave,
hmm,
he gave you this gift
exactly.
and it's gonna work. No matter how long it take, it's gonna work. And I
I,
know when you recognize you have a gift too, then I know that's probably not the right term, but I feel like you become lethal,
yeah,
because now I know. I didn't know before, and
that's
people were
true
able to use me before. But now that I know, and I thought to myself, well, if other people could use me to do this, what if I just use it for myself?
for yourself. Right, 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 right.
Yep. And then like also it's like they always say it's lonely at the top, right? But it ain't lonely at the top if you bring other people up there with you,
Yeah, that's
you know?
cool. That's
And if
really
I'm
cool.
at the top and I'm balling, I want my I want my sister
Yes,
right there balling with me. I want them to be like, "Oh, we going to Dubai? Okay, what? You already got the hotel? I got
yes.
like it's so much better." And for a long time in our lives, I feel like we try to convince people of things, but they don't see that. They don't see it. They don't see how it's possible, and you waste your energy trying to get them to see the
Trying to
vision.
convince them.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
once you once your skills sharpen, once you start realizing and you have a vision of what you want, then the right people start lining up. And I'm
yeah,
realizing like in this last year, I don't have to go through 100 minions to get to the person I'm trying to get to.
yeah.
It just it's like they just instantly filtered out. And anybody who don't belong, they get rid of themselves.
Yeah, they'll filter themselves out.
Yeah, so now like these women are just popping up. Now my message is like fine-tuned.
Yeah,
It finally is direct. It is very clear. If this ain't no whining circle,
right.
this is for us to leave here and be ready to conquer whatever task that we're trying to conquer. And yeah, I also like I actually was trying to figure out, okay, cool. How do I make this to where like I don't need people money in my pocket, right?
Hmm.
But again, it's a lifestyle I'm trying to help people get to. It's a lifestyle we're trying to have. And that lifestyle looks a certain kind of way. And that lifestyle, the vibe
Yeah.
is happy. The vibe is success.
Hmm.
The vibe
Hmm.
is that retirement. But like when you're young enough to still enjoy it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so I finally figured it out. I'm like, on our regular weeklies, I don't want nobody to pay nothing. I want it to be open for
Mhm.
women to come in.
Okay.
But what I am gonna make sure is very clear is that you can contribute in so many ways. You can
True.
be somebody to bring food, you could be
Right.
to bring drinks. If you have $1 you want to donate, if you got 1 million you want to donate. And I know that my circle is of every range, you know? And so I really believe that the right people are going to want to be a part of this, and the right people are going to donate whatever they can donate to make this a success, not just for themselves but for others too.
Yeah, I get that.
So
Do
yeah,
you usually have a theme when you come in, or do y'all just kind of like, let's just see what's gonna happen tonight?
so I do better not preparing so well, because I feel
Mm,
like when I prepare I turn into a robot, like a
I
teaching
see.
robot, and people are attracted to my energy and the lightness of it. So honestly, like the first one I was like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm gonna talk about. What am I gonna talk about? What am I gonna talk about? And then it clicked. Like, why am I nervous? I've been doing this my whole life.
Yeah.
And before I moved out to Texas, I did like a trial run in
Mm,
in Oregon. I had a ladies conference I was sponsoring at the chamber there.
yeah.
And so I did a speech about living your retirement life now. And I mean, I looked at it, I was like, oh my God, I'm a genius. Thank God I already had this, a PowerPoint already set up, you know. But I ended up not even using a PowerPoint.
Wow.
I just used one topic from the whole PowerPoint, and it lasted us an hour and a half. We were there longer than I, envisioned us being there, because it was set for an hour.
Okay.
Literally, I asked the question, I talked about being true to yourself. And the one question, because it's an open session, is you want everybody to be involved to contribute, right?
Sure.
So the question that I asked was, how do you take something that looks bad, like a bad habit, or that you feel is a con for yourself,
Mm,
and turn it into a plus, turn it into a positive thing? And because the more you know yourself, the better you can communicate who you
that's
are to
good.
people, to have the right expectations of you, because and I gave and I try to keep the examples very real, very down to earth, so that like this is an everyday thing. Everybody have these problems.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And so the thing that I talked about was like, I'm typically a late person. I don't show up on time to nothing. And actually Lubbock don't know me for that, which is surprising. But I was always late. So I started communicating. Don't expect me here on time. And if I am on time, like clap, because it's a new day in paradise. But because I know that I'm typically late, I'm no I'm your emergency contact. That if you hosting a party or something and you forget something, or you realize like, hey, I'm missing the alcohol, I'm missing the chips or something, you're gonna call me, you're gonna say, Elishama, can you pick up this on the way? Nobody wants to leave the party, right?
Right. 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 I
So
don't.
it turns my being late into a plus. Not just
Okay.
that, because I'm flexible, more than likely I can stay at the end and I can help you clean up.
Okay.
So rely on me on the right things and you'll
That's
get more
good.
out of me. And so then I went through the room and I said, okay, what is one thing that you feel like is a con for you? And either you give us an example on how you can make it different, like how you can communicate differently, or we can help you.
Okay.
And so that's what we did the first one. It took up, I'm telling you, it took up an hour,
That's
because
crazy.
with this, we talked about more like when people were saying what the con was and how to, and we helped with figuring out how to talk about it, communicate it differently. We were also uplifting,
Yeah.
like one woman was talking about how she's a mama bear, like, and that's not the word
Mm-hmm.
she used, but how she is controlling, and her kids are grown now and she has to let go.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a podcast with her husband, and I said, wait, this first off, every good mom is a mama bear. Every good mom is controlling to some extent. And when I did the podcast, you stood outside, which means you're already making progress. You already, like you did something that you wouldn't typically do. I said, and you here at this circle, which meant that you're doing the things that you're saying you want to do. Like we have to sometimes remind each other that we're doing a great job,
That's yeah.
that you're doing good. Every mom that's doing working her butt off to be a good
That's yeah.
mom. Man, a stranger could tell you, "Oh my God, you're such a great mom," and you gonna be like, "Oh, thank you. I needed to hear that today." So it was. That's how that was, and now today we having another one, and
Yay.
I know I'm excited. And my thoughts is, I'm gonna have them come up with real goals,
Mm.
find out what's important to them, like what's your big goal, what you trying to accomplish right now, and then help them define it and break it down to long term and short terms, but based on who they truly are. So I'm gonna give you an example.
Okay.
Okay, so I was mentoring somebody this morning, and she's moving from Israel to the US.
Okay.
She's, stressing out a little bit.
Yes.
And so while I'm on the computer with her, I said, get your phone out. Let's make your to do list. Sometimes you just need somebody to remind you, just do it
Mhm.
right now. It's in your head, get it out your head, right?
Yeah.
So we made the to do list. And then I asked her, because you got to ask questions. I said, when thoughts come to your head or when you need to do something, how do you typically like manage that? Do you write it down on paper? Do you use your phone or do you use a
Mm-hmm.
computer? Like, which way do you go? She said she typically uses her phone. I said, okay, but do you actually look at that list? Because a lot of us will write it on our phone and still not look.
Yeah.
Okay. And she said, yeah, I do everything on my phone. So then I had her take, okay, you do everything on, now we know who you are and how you operate. You do everything on your phone. Okay, so let's make this list. She made her to do list. I said, okay, now let's separate this to do list. What's everything that you need to do that you have to do in Israel that you can't do it nowhere
Right.
else?
Right.
So let's separate this list. So now she got her list that she has to do in Israel, and then she got her list that she could do anywhere. The Israel one is more critical because her timeline.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, so I said, so you're gonna have to look at this Israel one every day so that you can start knocking that off. And then whenever you bored and you ain't got nothing to do and you find yourself scrolling, you look at that other list.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You get what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who are you and what are things that you can actually do? And I give the example of if you wanna lose weight, right? A lot of people go and they do the New Year resolution and they sign up for a year at the gym and then they end up going for 2 months and then they pay
Yeah.
the rest of the year. That used to be me. I don't do that no more.
Yeah.
But what I found is like, let's say I always give the example, if you walk your dog, right? If you have a dog and you walk your dog 10 minutes every day, right? 3 times a day. So either take it from 10 minutes to 20 minutes or just add one more walk in there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, because it's something you already doing.
Yeah.
The moment you try to create a habit that you're not already doing, your chances of failing that is a lot higher. But if you enhance a habit that you're already doing, it's just gonna make it better. If
Yeah.
you typically go to McDonald's and you say, "Oh, I want a burger and some fries," and you say, "Take out all the vegetables," because I see a lot of Americans do that. Take out all the vegetables. I just want the burger and the cheese, right? Okay, add them vegetables back in there. For now on, add them vegetables.
Yeah.
you know, so because you already getting the burger and the fries.
I
So
don't like tomatoes. I'm not adding that back in. That's not gonna happen.
and that's cool. But what do you like? You know?
Yeah, yeah. I'm tracking. This was
Yeah.
good. This was really good. I really appreciate you giving me this tidbit because I needed it. Because I was like, I'm gonna do this as part of my research, but what does
Mhm.
it look like to start it? What does it look like to have the conversation? So this was extremely helpful. Thank you. I really seriously, I appreciate you giving me some of your time today for this.
And you gotta tell me again. Wait, I don't even think you said your name.
My name is Nedra Robertson.
Okay, Naja. Okay. And then tell me again what you're going to school for and what this is for so that I
I
can,
am a third year PhD student. So I'm in the last part of my PhD program and I'm getting ready to do the research. So the research says, okay, you have found this to be true or not true, a question you're pondering, true or not true. How are you going to test this hypothesis? So for my research, I plan to use sister circles. But like I said, in a research setting, it's a banded around something. It's banded around your question. So
yeah,
with my question being why are Black women over 50 going back to school, that's going to be my research question. And I need to find women in that demographic. And I'm going to do it by using this methodology of research circles. I
yeah,
mean, sister circles where we come together and have food and stuff like that. So
yeah.
that's what I'm working on.
That's amazing.
Thank
So
you.
there was this one sister who was with us who was older, you know,
Yeah.
and that made me a little insecure because it made me a little insecure before we started. But the more we talked, the more I'm like, okay, cool, I get it. And it made me insecure because, you know, she's very calm.
Yeah.
She seemed like she got her shit together.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what can I actually offer her? You know?
Yeah.
And, but no matter what age you are,
Doesn't matter.
you need that support. You know, some of us could do it by ourselves, but man, it's lonely and it's boring. And on top of that,
Yeah.
I stopped. I don't really drink like that. I don't
Yeah.
clubbing like that. You know, I don't go clubbing. And I
Yeah.
don't hang out with anybody. Like I'm one of those, if I drink, I start talking business and ready to do like whole proposals and stuff. And so most people don't really enjoy that. And I find that a lot of people been like disappearing on me. So this is my way of having fun. Like it's so fun to me. It's so uplifting. And these women had a ball.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I
That's good.
it was
I'm
really
looking
nice.
forward to your one tonight. I hope you guys have an amazing time. I hope you guys, it's as enriching, if not even more so than the last one. And I hope it's everything that you set it out to be because you've got
Oh,
some
it
big
is.
goals on this. So I'm looking forward to that.
It is. I already have people asking me how can we do it in the states that they live in. So
Yeah.
I wrote out a whole plan on how to get it out there and everything. I'm excited. And
Yay.
please wait. Let's shout out to Miss Lisa Power.
Thank you, Dr. Power, so
Thank
very much for
you.
connecting us. I'm serious. This was wonderful.
My friend
She's my
always said
chair. So
that.
she is the one
Yeah,
who's like, come on, Nadra, you can do it. There's somebody that's doing this work already. So I really, really, really sincerely want to shout her out and say thank you for making this connection for me
she's
today.
amazing. And you know, I always had a feeling and thought and hoped that I would reconnect with her.
Yeah,
And so it was just beautiful that, you know, when she sent that to me, and I've been seeing her a little bit more on my social media and
yeah.
everything. And then she told me, she said, I always knew you would be successful. So I've been watching you for all these years. And it just,
Oh,
the circle.
yes,
And she ain't
that's
black.
beautiful. No, but she's
She ain't
amazing.
black, but she's
She's dope.
amazing. She saw it.
Yes,
And saw me right like I spoke.
yes,
And change that. You know, now I
yeah,
get to a room and I can mix with any color with my skin.
yes,
You know?
exactly.
And she's
Exactly.
amazing. And I telling you, like God put people in our lives at the right time, man. And to think after all years, I think the last time I saw I was 23.
Oh my goodness. I
So
didn't
right?
realize that.
Yeah, I went to DeVry from the
Oh,
age of I think actually not even 23, 19 to 22, I think.
wow. Wow. And here I am now at St. Martin's University. She's teaching here and was like, I want to make this connection for you. So that is wonderful.
I would love to see your paper afterwards. So please keep me in mind. And also I'm gonna keep your number because
Okay.
when I come out there, I'm fully gonna be expecting you to join or speak on something from what you learned. So I'm
That would be
excited about
amazing.
this.
I would
Yeah.
love to do that. Thank you. That honors me. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I appreciate you getting on here and let me record you for my social media and my
Thank you, Miss
YouTube.
Shama, for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you have a great day.
All right, friend, I'm going back to work. I'll see you later.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.